know. Wait, no, wait. Yeah,
That's
I've
why
got you.
we
One second here. We're almost
say
there.
something brilliant and the recording isn't on, and it's like, well, that's too bad.
I know, right? It never fails too. Okay, Kathy, you are live and she is all yours.
All right, sounds good. Well, we're gonna give it just a minute to let a few come in because I've got people in the waiting room showing up for Leslie. That's awesome. And I'm gonna introduce her in just a moment. So I am excited. She's got a great bio, she's got a great course. And I will say this while we're waiting for a few people to come in. I've gotten to know Leslie because she's been showing up at Concierge. And so she has great ideas, great questions, and hopefully it's helped you a little bit, Leslie. And
It's right.
you know,
I would say, and part of why I'm here is because of that, right?
yeah, I think so too. And one of the things, and so just gonna tell you guys all this too, just as sort of a side note, but as we're moving into this new phase 3, and we're trying to bring affiliates who are going to promote to learners. One of the best ways you guys can do this as affiliates is go pick a free course that you enjoy. Now, of course, we've been talking about you can put a free course and promote it on Facebook and promote it on LinkedIn and all that. But go gather some of your friends and some people that might be interested in the course and organize a course club discussion. What's a course club? It's like a book club, right? If you have ever been in a book club, you have, 7 or 8 friends that get together, you pick a book, you read the book, come back in about 2 weeks and you talk about the book and you discuss what you liked about it and what you got from it and all that good stuff. Well, this is the same thing. It's a course club. Pick a free course, invite your friends to take it, pick a date, a week or so out, and get together and talk about your course. It is a great way to promote courses. It is a great way to promote course creators. And here's the thing, when you have a book club, you really never get the chance to talk to the author of the book. Maybe you could email and maybe, there's a slim chance they'll answer you or whatever. But you know what? On our course clubs, you can invite the creator to attend your discussion. And the creator loves it because they hear what you got from their course. They hear what they liked, maybe what they were confused about, or maybe clarify some things. It's a great discussion. It's a really easy way to promote courses. And so we did that with Leslie's course. We did that in April. We picked one of her courses and did that on our concierge platform. And it was a really good course. We had a great discussion. I think you got some good feedback. And yes, it is partly why you are here tonight, right? Because she continues to put really great material on the platform. So there's so many fantastic ways for you to promote material that's on the platform. I mean, translations and all that aside, which is mind-blowing what we can now do, just look at, if you just pull up free courses, there are hundreds of free courses. So pick a topic you love, pick a topic that maybe your friends love, and say, hey, let's do this. Let's, and if you're local, you can get together and discuss it, at your favorite hangout, and share food, just like we do in a book club, right? Share food, good drinks, all that kind of stuff. But if not, you can do it virtually on Zoom. So, I mean, there's so many fun ways to do this and to get together and make great connections. Part of what the Great Discovery is all about is connection, right? And community. So we are a community of creators, of learners, of affiliates, and just people who are sharing good content, sharing good stories, sharing, our lives with each other. And so it's a wonderful place to invite people to join and be part of. So there's another way to promote. So, all right, I have top of the hour and I want to get this started so that Leslie can tell you about her wonderful course. So let me share her introduction because she's got a great background. And you will, I think, appreciate it. I loved your bio, Leslie. So let me recap a little bit. Leslie is an international best-selling author, speaker, and business consultant. She is known for transforming raw, untapped stories into real-world success. Leslie is all about harnessing the power of personal narrative, not just to market your business, but to shift mindsets, to spark connection, and to build a successful business foundation. With a blend of strategic insight and humor, Leslie has helped many invisible businesses find their voice and grow their client base and basically break through the noise. Skip the stuffy formulas It's all about owning your story and unleashing it as your greatest asset in business and beyond. Through her courses and coaching, she'll lead you to elevate your story, amplify your brand, and embrace your influence. But here's the thing, it comes with a warning there's some side effects. And those side effects may include unshakable confidence, newfound business clarity, and an unstoppable urge to tell your story everywhere you go. I think that's awesome. Tonight, Leslie's going to present her course, her storytelling workshop. So it's all yours, Leslie. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. You can tell even by my bio, right, that I'm like a super story nerd. But really, I got into this because I started out as a life coach, and really my struggles through marketing, trying to figure out what worked marketing wise. And when I did, a light bulb went on. I was like, this was what I was meant to do. I love marketing, which right off the bat, right, eliminates me from most conversations, because most people I know are, I'm not a marketer, I'm not a salesperson. But I guarantee you that there is that person inside of you. But really, I did all the things marketing, right? Ads, social media marketing, and it always kind of drove me crazy that theoretically everything should work for every person, and it just really didn't. So what was the common denominator, and how could we simplify and make it more efficient? And it really made me think, like lots of smoke coming out my ears, right? But it really was about stories and storytelling. And I've always loved traveling, close, far away, because I always accumulate stories. And I can't tell you how many people would say to me, oh, tell us a story from where you've been. So it's always been this really ingrained part of me. And I realize that's what we should be using to connect when we're doing business. And somehow when we get online, we get a little freaked out. Somehow we don't think about this as being the same, right? We pitch slap people sometimes, we get all awkward, we're not sure what to say, instead of just really being human and connecting through a story. Because somebody can tell you a story about a dog. If you have dogs, you're like, ooh, I like that person. They can tell you about their values or their mission. And this is all on an unconscious level, right? We just feel a connection with that person. Now, granted, you know, we do business all the time with people we don't know, like, and trust, but ideally, we want to do business with people we like, people that we're aligned with. And storytelling is the best, fastest, and easiest way. But also in all this research, in fact, I was on a Facebook thread at one point, and a gal asked, like, I'm building my brand, what do I need to do? Because I'm just kind of invisible, right? How many people feel invisible in their business and feeling like, how do I stand out amongst all the noise here? She must have had 50 replies. You've got to tell a story. Literally, you got to tell a story, you got to tell a story. And I just sort of watched this all go on. Somewhere in that thread, she said, how do you do that? And it was complete crickets. And so it really occurred to me, wow, we really talk about this all the time. We know that's what we want and should do, but how do we do it? And that set me on this journey of writing books, creating courses, and really incorporating that into what I was doing. So that's really what this storytelling workshop is about. I kind of hit on three things, like, how do you tell that story? Actually give you a framework and sort of squeeze you down so you're committed to a short framework instead of getting long and windy, right? And then next we look at social media marketing in general, but we use social media, right, as the place to start. Since I have this story, now how do I take it and expand it out in the world? How do I now begin telling my story in different arenas? And then the third module is really about mindset. So I wrote a book about storytelling, and I picked up a hater, Hubert the Hater. And I kind of was truthfully a little bit excited. I was like rubbing my hands up, this is going to be fun, because what is offensive about storytelling? Where can he go with this? But overnight, he started commenting on other people who had commented on my post, right? And so I was like out. But it really made me realize that part of the problem with marketing is we all have kind of that inner critic anyway, and then somebody speaks it out loud. We can either shrink or we can stand up against that voice. And I want everybody to be aware that can happen and that your story is important and it needs and deserves to be heard. So I always include mindset when I'm talking about storytelling now, because it was such a great reminder to me as well. So that's a little bit about the workshop. It's a premium level course. There will be an academy level course that will have the same content, but actually have coaching sessions with that content. And then there's a Genius Club and a free course, both about storytelling. See, I told you I was a storytelling nerd. So people can kind of come in at wherever they want on storytelling. Is such a powerful tool. Once you get good at your story, you will stand out. You won't have to worry about being lost in the noise on the internet, because your people will hear that story and come to you. But I also wanted to give you a little insight, because I really believe in the teach, do. I was going to combine those two words. So the teach, do, and refine model. And that's what I use in my courses. But I wanted to share with you just a couple tidbits, kind of things that I touch on, is this idea that we don't need to share the story, all the story, right? We need to figure out the most important part of our story. And it's not so much about us, it's about the other person and what it is they need to hear from us so that they can connect with us and to make that emotional connection. That is the quickest way you're going to get to sales, get to know, like, trust, to collaborations, to everything, is being able to share some part of you. I worked with a photographer a while back, and she came to me and she said, well, I'm a brand photographer, but I feel like I'm so much more. So she told me what she did and kind of how she did it. And I was like, I'm not feeling this. Like, I feel what you're saying, but I'm not hearing it in your words. So why don't you tell me why you're doing what you're doing? And she said, well, when I was pregnant with my second child and my first one was 3 years old, my mother was dying of cancer. And I knew I had to pick up a camera to preserve memories. Like, I still get chills thinking about it, right? But I said to her, that is the most powerful story, because I immediately know how much care you're going to take when you take my pictures. And that's really what you're selling. You're not selling the photographs. You're selling this experience of letting me bring you into my world and make you look as wonderful as you really are. The second one is not getting lost in how, right? Sometimes and I think it's more of, we're not really sure what to tell people or how to tell people, right? Which a framework will help you with that. So we get caught up in telling our process to people. And especially if it doesn't make sense, one thing I do think I'm gifted with is a simple brain, right? Because if I don't understand something, I guarantee no one else will. Because I'm always like connecting the dots for people. So if I can't connect them, you didn't build enough dots for me to follow. But when you start telling me how, and you haven't told me what the benefit will be, or could be, or you haven't addressed the pain I'm in and moved me along that thing, then I don't really care about the how. And it's an easy trap to fall into, is that getting stuck in, oh, let me tell you my process. I don't really care about your process. If you can get me from A to B, that's what I want to know about. And I don't, this in between part, it really doesn't matter to our customer. And the third thing that I wanted to share was, every story needs to go somewhere. So I worked with a man recently. He had a brain injury, and then he was doing a business, and he kind of told this story, and then he told me what he was doing. I was like, how are those connected? And he said, well, they're not. I was like, okay, don't tell this story, because I need to have a connection, right? I need to know why you're doing what you're doing. And honestly, he did have a connection. He just didn't make it. He didn't see it. And I said, well, what about this? He said, oh, that you're right. That is why I'm doing what we're doing. Why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? I think it's easy for people outside of us to see that. And a lot of times, again, kind of why I love the courses, right? There's that ability for that outside person to say things that we can't see ourselves. Because I guarantee you that each one of you has a story that's very special. There's a reason why you're doing what you're doing. And if you can tap into that, that will be the secret sauce of bringing people into your world, people getting your courses and wanting to stay in that world. Yeah, like I could go on, right? But I don't know, Kathy, maybe we want to take questions or.
If you would like questions, let's go for it.
Yeah, and did that give enough information kind of about the course and what people might expect from it? Like it's a whole lot of me, right?
It's great. So yeah, let's see if there's questions or anybody wants to comment, and if you have more, you certainly can comment some more, Leslie. So let's see. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I do.
Okay.
So I've got to know Leslie quite well over the last few months. We are in the same team together. We meet up every so often, and I've done some of her courses. And I can just definitely say that I love the way Leslie thinks very clearly, very strategically. So she just hits the main points. As I put in the comment, I'm somebody who goes down the how rabbit hole. So what you do is awesome because it just takes all that fluff out of it and just gives a really kind of clear framework and structure that people like me really need. So thank you. You know, I can't wait to look at your course.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I really do think it is, if you want to use your story for business, right? We need to be more goal oriented and more strategic in that. And again, really focus on what it is the other person needs to hear from our story versus what we need to tell. In personal experience, right? I was telling a story that people kind of look at me and they didn't get it. Well, one, I wasn't connecting the dots, but two, part of it was like I needed to heal from that part of the story. It really wasn't all that pertinent, but I just kept telling it because I thought that was a way for me to get it out of my system. And it really took me stepping back and going, wait a minute, that's not what people want to hear. That's not really the goal. And always thinking about when you tell a story, what is the goal? It should always be to create an open door, right? I think we get a little too focused on a sale or something happening, and you need a little flirting even before the first coffee date. So yeah, no putting a ring on it the first time you meet somebody. You want to tell that story and create that open door so they go, oh, yeah, I might like to have a Zoom with you. I might like to check out your free course. Like I get what you're throwing down and I want more of that.
Okay, go ahead, Christy.
So I have a big story, and I don't know if people want to hear it all. That's why I don't put it out there except in pieces. And so people don't know why I do what I do. So where should I put this big story?
That is a great question, Christy. Thanks for asking it, because that's true of all of us to a certain extent, right? We have all lived past lives. We've all brought this experience with us, like, and we really want to share like the whole bundle of it. But it's really getting down to that very core story of why you're doing what you're doing right now, right? I think a super simple, I go into a little bigger framework in this course. And I have one that's the Genius, that's kind of like an introduction, how to really hone your introduction. And then the free one is really sort of setting the foundation of storytelling. But I like to think about it as there, here, and there. So you were over there and you got here for some reason, some problem that you solved, something that you got right here where you are now. And where are you headed? That's the other there, right? That's really what we want to know when we first meet somebody. do you get my pain? And you got here, so that gives me belief I can get here. And then you're headed somewhere else. Like, I want to get on the train with you. All the extraneous then becomes sort of like supporting material, if you will. So I've run this workshop live several times, and one of the gals said she had a similar thing. She's like, there's no way I can get my story down. I mean, she just was flat out, nope, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And I said, well, I'm challenging you to. The assignment is like 2 sentences per each section of the framework. She's like, nope, I can't do it. I was like, well, give it your best shot. Go do it. The next time in the class, she came back, she was like, oh my gosh, I did it. It's amazing. I understand. She said, I have 6 months of content now. So once you get really clear on that story, then you can use all the rest of it.
2 things per section of content in the story or in a course?
In the framework that's in the course, right?
Oh.
So yeah, because I just use a really simple framework, and it's like you just then have 2 sentences per section of that framework. So you really have to hone down that big thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, well, I hope it helps, because it's a very common problem. You're not alone. Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Christy.
Okay, I will ask a question, and certainly welcome any other questions, but because you pinged on the person, so you promote your story through social media, and there's that person that makes a negative comment, right? And that can stop so many people, because you just look at it and go, oh my God, they hate this, or somebody hates it, and everybody's going to focus on the negative. How did you dispel that? Because I actually want to share a story.
Nice. Like for me personally, how I dispelled that?
Because you said you turn it into an opportunity, and I think that's a really powerful message. So I just kind of want to hear. You can tell me in 2 sentences what you do.
Yeah, right. No, it was an opportunity really, and I shared it on social media as well, right? I used it in posting. I was like, this is a really learning experience, because I think we're all familiar with somebody taking issue with who we are, what we're saying, even if it was like years ago, right? We all have that internally where I felt myself, I was like, I could shrink down here. I could feel squashed or not. I have a choice to make. But to your point, if we don't recognize it, if we don't acknowledge it, it's super easy to be squashed. So for me, immediately, right, I blocked him, which I probably should have done from the get-go, but clearly I didn't, and I learned a great lesson, and it really made me very conscious of when people say, I'm not a marketer, that's part of what's going on, is this idea of when I put myself out on social media, right, or speaking or writing books, whatever it is you're going to do, or course creation, honestly, everything, there will be somebody that like gives you the side eye, or their voice sounds like your mother's voice, or whatever it is, and we have a choice to make.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you sharing that piece, because I know that stops so many people. And the story I just want to tell you briefly from a Six Sigma perspective, and Sandra knows this well, from the get-go, as Six Sigma started to roll out to the whole world, and Michael Harry, Sandra's late husband, did the lion's share of the intellectual process of Six Sigma, and then he taught people. And then it was made available to share with the world through the CEO of Motorola, Bob Galvin. Well, because that happened, and because there were opportunities now that were created to consult and share that knowledge, people got territorial and nasty about it. Like, Michael didn't do that, I did that, or I created that. And so you could barely post anything on Six Sigma. To some extent, almost even today, 4 years later, where there will be someone who'll speak up and say, well, that's not right, that's not accurate, that's not this, and it's just, and it truly can just stop you. And what I learned and what Michael did right from the beginning was he just posted factually everything that he did along with his publications and everything, and just said to people, hey, this is what I did. I acknowledge what you did. Would you like to share? And of course, they didn't have publications, and they didn't have ways to back it up, so that shut him down. But it was a beautiful way to acknowledge it. And my approach has always been, you know what, everybody's got a point of view on this and a contribution that they made. It wouldn't have lasted 40 years if people didn't share stories and have breakthroughs and accomplishments. So I will acknowledge yours, but it's not necessarily the only one. And so just because, and there are people that just love to be the destroyer or the, you know, the negative, you know, whatever. And I just want to echo your message. Do not let that shut you down.
Yeah, absolutely, right? In fact, make you more fierce, right? Louder,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Because yeah, you're getting under somebody's, whatever their issue is, you know, that's the other thing. It's always their issue.
It's their
Go
issue.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about you, it's about them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
important. So thank you for bringing that up. I was like, oh, I'm so glad you acknowledge that, because I know that especially with social media, if you don't post often and then you get somebody negative, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and you'll just stop. And so yeah.
Right. And I think it's so often that because honestly, I think of social media as a big billboard, right? A lot of people never comment. And then you get the one that comments like that. So it feels like, you know, right to the heart. When I wrote a book, I did 30 days of videos, right? Like the process, because I ended up writing it in 30 days because of a timeline. And I cannot tell you how many people said to me, they said, oh, I loved your videos. Never, ever commented, never liked, nothing. I was like, really? What about them? And they said, because you showed up without makeup, you showed up in your beanie, you showed up however it was, and you just did it. And I said, yeah, because after a week, you're like, I'm just doing this. I don't care what I look like, right? I'm committed. I'm going on.
Oh, that's great. That's great. No, thank you for that. I just think that's so important, and we just need to, and we need to support each other, right? So if you see anybody else out there that's struggling with that, we just need to support each other and help each other, right? So
Absolutely. And most of the social, you know, the sites, right, you can delete the comments off and then block the people. And
Yep.
so it's easily taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Other questions? Any other comments?
Cool. Well, I would definitely encourage you all. I'd love to have you take the course. I also have one on AI and confidence, kind of the mindset of it, where to start with it if it feels overwhelming, which is a great one to share with folks, as well as I just put one up on a niche. Like, what the heck is a niche, right? Because I have a conversation, at least 2 conversations a week about niching down and target audiences and all that stuff. The terminology can be very confusing.
Yeah. Allison's got a couple questions in chat, and she's got her hand raised. So go ahead, Allison.
Actually, that's what. So I know that this was very much last minute, Leslie, but we don't know the title of your course or even the link.
Oh, shoot. Okay. It's called Storytelling Workshop, and I'll put the link in. Thank you for saying that. I just hadn't even, I'll take off my affiliate.
That's why I go
Oops.
down the how rabbit hole, right? Because I'm the detail girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love
That's what I love about you, because as you can tell, I can just go on.
I love your comments too, Allison, about Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements. Take nothing personally. Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Yep, and it's called the Storytelling Workshop. And like I said, there's one, I think I have 2 more videos to do that will be the same content, but if you wanted, I can't type and talk at the same time. If you wanted with group coaching sessions, right? So we actually sit down and kind of go through people that are struggling. How do we get clearer on their story? People give feedback, like that makes sense. I don't get what you're talking about, that kind of thing, then put together some social media posts. And again, in the course, and then we also practice kind of on that confidence piece, right? Really stepping into and creating sometimes that story that's a little bit bigger than where you are, and maybe makes you a little bit uncomfortable, but creates that vulnerability so that your ideal client goes, "Oh, I want to know more about Kathy."
Yep. Well, thanks for putting the link there. And yeah, and I will tell you, yeah, we did Leslie's course, as I said at the beginning, as a course club in April on the AI mindset. So again, that's a great one. It's a free course. It's a great one if you are, working with people who are like, I'm not sure I want to do AI. I'm not sure what, I'm a little scared of the technology or whatever. Hey, send them that course. She does a great job of walking me through, just kind of getting over that mindset that it's something to be feared or something to, that's challenging you. Yeah, it has its challenges, but she helps you walk through how to, just take it a piece at a time and get something from it, put it to work for you rather than have it be this big hurdle that you somehow have to, go around, go under, go over, whatever it is. So that's another great course. So she's got a bunch of them out there that are wonderful to promote and share. And there's lots of good stuff that could be discussed. And yeah, just encourage everybody to take this and run with it. So Leslie, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you all for sticking with us. We had a great attendance tonight. I love that. So thank you all for being here. And we'll see you at the next Course Spotlight, which will be Wednesday. And we'll learn some more then. So all of you take care. Thanks so much, Leslie. And I think Sandra's going to close it down, but we'll, she's going to have to stop the recording, but we can, and shut the meeting down, but we can exit. There's no other meeting after this. So thanks all for attending.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Lori. I think that was Lori.
you.
Right?
Thank you, Leslie. It's Dexy. You haven't met me, but I love your course and I love storytelling. I used to do storytelling at schools in Japan. I'm considered a master storyteller, but I don't do it very much anymore. I don't consider myself that. That was other people calling me that.
I bet you still are. I'm sure that's a skill you never forget, right?
I love it. Thank you so much. I enjoyed you tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sticking with us.
Absolutely. And I will be sharing your course.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I think, like I said, I think Sandra has to actually end this call, but you guys can all drop off and thank you all again.